Good evening and welcome again to Paul T's World. Last week we had a look at the back garden in May, and so this week we're going to walk through and check out the front garden. The beech tree's got its leaves. That gets clipped in August, which gives it enough time to get another set of leaves which stay on the hedge over winter. Choicea ternata Sundance. This is the sunny side and it's already flowered and growing its new leaves, and that's not the sunny side and it's still in flower. More azaleas here. These are magnificent actually, these azaleas. That one's finished, and this one is totally white, fills the whole plant. Camellia behind. The camellias often flower just a little bit early, and then if there's a frost later on, it scorches all the flowers. We'll go back to this bed that we looked at when we did the azalea video, because here we have a Hydrangea Peniculata. I'm hoping this is going to grow another 2 or 3 feet. The blooms on the Peniculata, oh yes, love them. This is a mophead hydrangea. Nice and bright leaves. You have to cut out the non-variegated branches. I can never resist planting buddleia. Probably in the wrong place. The butterflies do not complain. Another hydrangea. Oh, here's another Weigela. Wine and roses. I replanted it, it was in another place. Potentilla, I'm not that familiar with potentillas, funnily enough, and I never really know whether I should be cutting them back or what I should do, but they seem to do okay. Flower each year. Another hydrangea, and the leaves once again. Ooh, what's happening with these leaves? Help. What's this, Philadelphus? I pruned it back quite a lot last year, and now it's sent all these up, and this is going to flower nicely. Here we have a maple Drummondii. It's probably 20 years old and it's only that big. So an ideal tree to have perhaps in a small garden. And in front of the Crimson King, the dark Crimson King and the light Drummondii. We saw the azaleas at their best a few weeks ago. Some peonies behind. I've staked these. I leave the stakes in actually. I think the birds have been perching up here and doing what birds do, straight down. A lilac behind. It's a cute little lilac. In fact, it's just some flowers starting. It's late. Oh, there's no, that's the deutzia, because that there is a deutzia. I'll see if I can find out what the name of this lilac is. It's different from the others. It's not as large and tree-like. And another deciduous azalea. Looks really nice, but you know what? It hasn't flowered at all. Not a sign of any flowers this year. Oh yes, something I was going to show you. I only noticed it today when I was looking at these plants a little closer, and look what I saw. This here. I wonder if anyone recognises what that is, because I do. It's an ash. It's an ash seedling. I'll just let this car go by. There's an ash tree near here, and our garden gets covered in seedlings. And if you don't get them early, they're a devil to get out. And what have we got here? Yep. Little weed. So yes, watch out for ash seedlings. I could do with cutting it back. It may be here, and then it'll grow some new leaves, which are a beautiful red. I like plenty of sedum in the garden for the butterflies and the bees. Sedum spectabilis, I think these are here. I've also noticed this. And this is a cherry. That's a cherry sucker. And it has come from this cherry tree here. It's a lovely cherry, flowers very early, but of course, especially when you prune or hard prune a cherry, which I think you should do in summer, they tend to throw suckers up, and that's what it's done. So I'll dig that out or cut it out. We saw the contorted hazel, twisted hazel, in another video with the catkins, and now here we are in leaf. Oh, it's nice light on the Crimson King maple, Norway maple. Beautiful. Another rhododendron. I find my rhododendrons flower well one year and not well the next year. This looks like it's going to do okay. We probably could do with some rain. We're just not getting any rain at the moment. And I think the woodland plants are struggling a bit. This rhododendron, which flowered earlier, is probably the best it's ever flowered. And we had it in perfect condition in one of the videos before. The Magnolia Stellata, now it flowers beautifully every year. Flowers like clockwork. Often it flowers a little bit too early, and then when it does and we have a frost, it just scorches some of the white petals. Oh, blackbird's complaining about something. Another rhododendron, looks like it's going to flower quite well. I really should move it and put it in the azalea bed. Some geraniums, this is a blue one, looks really nice. Again, they suffer from lack of water. Once they've flowered, I think with geraniums it's a good idea, particularly in this garden, to just cut them virtually to the ground. And then they grow again and flower again. Now, to remind me of my travels in Australia, I put in this eucalyptus, Gunnii, and it shot up. It shot up about 20 or 30 feet. And I thought, well, actually, I want it to be bushy further down, although I did want to fill this gap here, but it got too high. So I've just literally cut it off, and I'm hoping it's going to sprout round here. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I've got some Clematis growing through everything. It's a Clematis that you cut down early on in the year, then it grows up and flowers in the same year. So I like the Montanas and I like this variety. I find the large petaled ones that flower early summer suffer from wilt, and I've had a lot of problems with them, so I don't really have any now. It's kind of a butter cream lilac. Scent's nice. Yep, still scenting. And at the back here we have a hawthorn. It's actually an ornamental hawthorn with red flowers. It's the flowers catching the light. And through it I'm growing a rambling rose. Hopefully it'll flower quite well this year. It's a few years old. The ramblers flower once profusely with small flowers. The climbing roses tend to flower continually with larger flowers. And this is where I planted it down here. So that's the climbing rose planted there. There's the Clematis down there somewhere. Bluebells flower everywhere here in the garden. Spirea here, don't know what type of Spirea. The Juneberry tree that I featured in the April video when it was in full blossom. Now it's got its delicate leaves. Lovely tree. Amelanchier. Nice size for a small garden. There's a blackbird singing just over here. He often sings on the lamppost. Yeah, he's on the lamppost now. There he is. the light is just going off the garden. But here is a dogwood. Cherokee. Spectacular, particularly in autumn. Unfortunately, this year we don't really have many bracts. A wedding cake tree. This is a Controversa variegata, Cornus Controversa variegata. I planted it far too close to this choicea. And the fir tree. And the ceanothus. It flowers really well, the ceanothus. But when I was doing this bed, all these little plants, which were minute at the time, looked really far apart. But of course, once they get mature, you realise that you have to give plants, you have to imagine how they're going to be in 10 years' time. And I didn't do the imagining. Still okay. Half a wedding cake, it's not bad. It would be nice if we had another tier, but I just don't think I'm going to get it. And here's the lavender, the lavender hedge. English lavender. Just step over. And I don't do what you should do, which is prune it back each year. I just take a little bit off like that, and so it goes woody. In some ways I quite like it like that because it starts growing over the pathway, which is a look I quite like. I like a slightly wilder look. However, maybe I should have cut them back a little bit more. But what my technique has been is to take them out and plant little ones in to join in. And as I mentioned in the other video, where I get them from is this path. So I leave the seed heads a little bit, and I always get 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 or so seedlings every year, and here's one. There we are. So I can just take that out, pull that up and pot it up. There's another one. And it struck me that absolute pure sand. So these seedlings are growing up in pure sand. Because the soil is sandy but slightly acidic, and lavender don't like acidic soil, I've added a little bit of lime in here. I made it quite sandy, just in case we have a hard winter. Lavender can take a hard winter. What it can't take is being wet and a hard winter. So they want to be dry. Hence a sandy soil is really good for it. We come round to the Cotoneaster horizontalis. The bees love this. Philadelphus. It's not quite as vigorous as I was hoping, but it still does okay. There's going to be plenty of flowers there. And growing through it is a Lithidora. It was down here, thick, nice. And then it decided it wanted to climb, so it started to climb up the Philadelphus. Hey, I like things climbing through things. Cistus. And what are these called? I've forgotten. I've forgotten. I'm having a senior moment here. That is a... I'm wanting to say Forsythia. It's a... big time senior moment. Often cut that back in a hard winter, of course, a lot of it dies back. Big success story here. 2 climbing roses. Golden showers. Fabulous scent. It actually is too vigorous because it ends up growing higher than the gutters. Whereas really I'd like it to stay where it is, but the second lot that come through will just grow another 4 or 5 feet. Now this one's a climbing rose, but it doesn't know it's a climbing rose. And it's Dancing Queen. They flower pretty well and right the way through the season, which is nice. A little bay plant. Yes, it's quite good to have a plant horizontal, because whenever you have a plant horizontal, it wants to send off lots of shoots vertically. Same with lots of plants actually. And climbing roses are good for bending round so that you get all these shoots coming up. I hope you've enjoyed this little walk around my garden today. It's been great with the robin and the blackbird. In fact, I can just hear they're still singing now. It's just fantastic in the evening. Some lovely light, birds singing, and a wander around the garden. What could be better, apart from having a glass of wine while doing it? So if you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe, hit the like button, the bell, and all those things that you have to do. So if you can do that, that would be great. And I'll see you next time in Paul T's World. Bye.